Alright guys, so in today's video we're going to be talking about a couple of things that you guys need to know in order to start your own brand. Now, as I've gone through this process, there have been a lot of things that I've either had to learn on my own or just watch tutorials. Going through this process wasn't an easy task, as I'm sure many of you guys who have started your own entrepreneurship ventures can attest to. But there are a couple of factors that definitely play an important role into whether or not your brand or your business is going to be successful. Now, throughout my time in college, I've taken a couple of entrepreneurship courses, and I'm actually pretty surprised to realize that a lot of those things that I've learned are actually very much practical to the real life applications of starting your own brand. There are a couple of things we're going to touch on in this video, so if you guys are looking to start your own brand or any sort of business, definitely stay tuned. So let's just jump right into it. Now, one of the most important things I learned in my entrepreneurship course, and is going to be the starting foundation of any successful brand, is going to be something known as product market fit. This is essentially the degree to which a product satisfies a strong market demand. Now, if we take a step back and look at the bigger vision of Chae, obviously we're not trying to fulfill just a merch brand. As I mentioned in the previous video, we're looking at a much broader scheme of things. Rather than utilizing my YouTube platform to start a merch brand, I would rather find a product that satisfies a much larger market. Creating a lifestyle brand which appeals to a much larger audience is going to be a better utilization of the platform that I currently have, and it's going to be a better way for you guys as an audience to connect with our brand. Now, as I mentioned, product market fit is one of the most important steps to ensure that your venture isn't in a field that's already too saturated. One of the main reasons we decided to go for more of a lifestyle brand is everyone's already doing merch, everyone already has dozens of t-shirts and hoodies from their favorite creators, but what we realized as students and creators was that there wasn't a brand that was creating high quality lifestyle essentials and accessories. We wanted to create products that we would actually use on a daily basis, which is how we came up with our product selection. Now, although we are a couple of days away from the launch, I don't want to spoil everything by giving away all the products that we're offering, but what I will say is that we put in a lot of research to ensure that the products we're offering were, number one, at an affordable price point, and number two, we're going to be things that people actually wanted to use on a daily basis. Our design language is very minimal throughout all of these products, meaning we don't want to plaster our logo over the entire design. At the crux of our design language is really just simplicity and modern, clean aesthetics. So I hope that was a good explanation of what product market fit exactly is. Our product itself is going to be our lifestyle brand Chae. Our market at first is primarily going to be composed of you guys, my audience, but at the same time, for the future, we are looking to expand to appeal to a much more global audience. As of right now, there are a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Our first priority right now is to make sure that the entire shopping experience on our website is pretty seamless, meaning you guys don't have any unnecessary ads or just random stuff that pops up on websites that distracts from the entire experience. And most importantly, ensure that the entire feel of the brand, including the website, the product photos, the descriptions, are in line with our own values as a brand, and most importantly, are going to appeal to you guys, the consumers. So that's a little entrepreneurship lecture I wanted to share with you guys today. There's going to be a lot more that I will touch on in these upcoming videos, but stick around because, like I said, we have a lot of work to do, and I'm going to try and bring you guys along as best I can. So what I've been working on for the past few hours is actually getting our Instagram shop up and running. If you didn't know, Instagram has recently come out with new features for business accounts where you can actually just check out directly from the Instagram app itself. This is a really convenient way so that we can also tag our products in the photos that we post, but also has a much smoother process for the consumers so that they don't have to go through so many different websites in order to just purchase the product that they want. Alright, right now we're getting a quick lunch. I'm here with my friend Leon. Alright, so I'm with my friend Leon. He's actually a Princeton alumni and the co-founder of a co-working space here in Williamsburg, Brooklyn called Labyrinth. Him and his co-founders have been working super hard to get this place up and running, and he's learned a lot about what it takes to start your own business, especially with everything happening with COVID right now. He's learned a lot of things along the way that I thought would be helpful for you guys to sit down and just chat a little bit more about what it takes to start a whole business. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Absolutely, I'm more than happy to do this. Pleasure. I'm Leon, Princeton 2018. It's been 2 years since we've graduated, but you know, time flies for sure. Nick and I met through essentially a lot of, I think, video hobbyists, photography hobbyists. Both did a lot of work for dance groups, and that's where, you know, when did we meet then?
Like freshman year? My freshman year.
It's been like 2.5 years,
yeah.
2 years. Yeah. It's great to see him grow as, you know, creator, as well as just more of like a visionary in terms of what you want to do.
So I've talked a little bit about the space before in a previous video, but here at Labyrinth, it's called a co-working space, and essentially it's like a coffee shop, but rather than pay for the coffee, you actually pay for a seat and a desk. Will you tell us a little bit about how you guys came up with that idea?
Yeah. So just to introduce, I'm one of three. So there's two partners, Andrew and Eric, as well. And we came up with this concept, a lot of it built into an internet cafe, as well as co-working space, something that melds the best of both elements, really. So you're right, you don't pay for the coffee, you don't pay for the Wi-Fi. Instead, that's provided to you. You're essentially renting the desk. And we came up with that concept because after college, and actually even in college, when you're doing a lot of creative work, the other, two co-founders are also coders, and so they always had to do the coffee shop shuffle.
Exactly.
Really not sure if you're going to find a seat, not sure if you have, a spot. Sometimes I'd go in spaces, buy coffee, see a spot, and then lo and behold, there's no charger. And you're like, now I got to get out of the space, find something else, but it's already $5-6 that I've blown. So we really wanted to address those pain points and work around it, and I think hopefully we were able to do so, and, it's always improving. But Labyrinth, here we found a niche in the Williamsburg community, very Brooklyn, a lot of individuals who want to work on their own stuff, or we're actually originally remote, but due to COVID are actually experiencing a lot of their coworkers also be more remote ever than before. So yeah, it's an interesting time to have started a business in the last year or so, but even more so, carrying this forward and hearing a lot of what people have to say, and then making sure that we provide and continue to provide a strong value proposition going forward.
So I was just telling them today about product market fit. Can you explain a little bit more about, like, I was saying, like, that's the crux of your entire business, like making sure that you have the right product and that it fits within the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think admittedly, my two co-founders, Andrew and Eric, and I are all more product oriented when we first started, but we soon realized that just because we're able to build something cool doesn't mean there is necessarily a vast market for it just yet, and that's something that we're still learning. I think we've gotten better at. The biggest thing, and whether it's the viewers or whoever's really interested, I think, is to be adaptable. That's the big piece of advice. Obviously, research is important, but there's only so much research you can do beforehand before you feel like you know a topic enough and see if this is a good fit or not.
Yeah.
But whatever you bring to market, you're gonna have to make changes to it,
Adapt
and provide it. And so we've always said to our customers, as well as amongst ourselves, like, we have to listen to what people are saying, what the need is. We may start out as something where we thought groups of people were gonna come in. That's not the case, and we have to redo all the interior, and it's work, but it's if it better fits the market. And that market could be anything. It could be an e-commerce situation, it could be a physical business, it could be food.
Yeah.
You have to adapt, and I think amazing things can come from that. And we were actually just talking earlier about how the best design is done with constraints, within circumstances.
What are some of the biggest things you've learned about starting your own business?
There's a bunch, but I think when I've listened to really poignant founders before me talk, the two things that come up are, we already covered adaptability. I think the other thing is partnerships. And the partnerships, in the sense of like who you found it with. Maybe you're going solo dolo, and that's cool. But I think oftentimes people are usually linked with someone, like a team, or at least two people, pair or trio. I think that's very important. That's one. And the second half of my answer, I would say, is about being well-read, and not well-read like necessarily an encyclopedia, or I read TechCrunch every day, or New York Times. What you want to do is more relevant reading, right? And if you're in the podcast industry, that means not necessarily well-read as in reading a bunch about podcasts, but listening to a bunch of podcasts. So whatever it is that you do, like, you want to be engrossed in it enough. I mean, you should know what's happening in your industry, developing the insights and gaining the insights. But I think the first part, the partnerships, is really knowing that you're going to have to go through really tough times with this person, just the same way you get mad at yourself. I'm sure you get mad at your partners, and how do you really conduct yourself, and how do they conduct themselves with you? Be respectful, yet be on the goal, right? If we have to do A, and if someone's falling short, you have to call each other out, but how do you do it in a way that's conducive? And everyone has, like, I think oftentimes what's thrown around is I think love language, right? But everyone has like their work language too.
That's true.
And especially with a really small team, how do you like to be managed? How do you not like to be managed? Do you hate being micromanaged? When you're so small, I think you have every right to express how you feel, but then also be receptive to how that other person feels.
Exactly.
Right. There's only so much room for when you're first starting, especially if this is tailored towards your very first steps. You're gonna have to learn to work with each other, and that's something that I think if you have problems, that's the biggest takeaway. If you have problems, you gotta really nip it at the bud, or address it early on, or really capitulates and snowballs deeper and deeper, and when the stakes are higher and higher and you haven't addressed it, it's tough. So I think that's the biggest thing.
And finally, what is some advice you give to aspiring entrepreneurs?
Gosh,
and did you ever think you'd be in a spot where you?
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I don't think I'm really interested, and I still am not really interested in entrepreneurship just for the sake of entrepreneurship. I don't really care if I am working for myself or working for someone else. I think I've told you too, I just really want to create and make stuff, and especially especially in the realm of experiences. So whether that's restaurants, hospitality, museums, co-working spaces, whatever, even if it's digital. That's something I'm just really interested in. So whatever that allows me to do that. But in terms of the advice I'd give, I think it's knowing what you're in it for. Right. I think be honest with yourself, be honest with the potential partner, because there's going to be points where you may not be with an organization forever. Or you may be the person, you may be the static part of an organization, right? You may be around, whereas like other things around you change. I think knowing yourself and why you're doing this is a big part. And then also on top of that, just having a good support network. I know this is probably said often, but you know, my family's a big part. My founders are a big part. My friends, you know, I'm talking to you. I think it's always good to get feedback and but know that while they're being honest, like you're not really being judged for your mistakes, and you shouldn't judge yourself for your mistakes either. I think it's you learn from it, and how do you best improve. And then the last real portion is you're gonna have to adapt. I know that was talked about it from a business standpoint. Sure, your business will adapt, your services will, but yourself personally, a lot of the sayings or the wearing of many hats or whatnot, you really have to. You know, for us, whether it's from a real estate side and scoping out what's going to work for us, design side, business partnership side, legal work, all through two of my partners and myself had to encounter it and do it at some point. Sure, I might be better equipped to handle other stuff than some people, and worse fare in other arenas, but you kind of have to do everything. There's just not enough bodies to go around. But if you embrace it, you know, and he's talked about, and you've already done it, you know, so many different ways. Yeah, I think you're well prepared for it. And one last note, I think my partner Andrew likes to say is like entrepreneurship or like business, and it's in its own thing. It's like basketball, like a sport, right? Like there's some people who you think like they don't look athletic, they don't look XYZ. They're good at basketball. The same way like they're quote unquote, you know, really intelligent, book smart people who are not really good at business or good at entrepreneurship. And there's some people who you're not necessarily so impressed with in like the classroom that are great at business. And so that is, you know, adapting a growth mindset to it is really important, and knowing that it in itself it's kind of independent from other stuff. Like if you work hard enough at it, whether it's starting as a young entrepreneur, working or going to school, whatever it is, it's your own journey, and you're gonna get good at it on your own terms and on your own way. So yeah,
that's some solid advice.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like read as many books as you want. You watch these videos, but your journey is probably going to be far different. I really didn't imagine I didn't even know I'd have this type of journey. Exactly. So yeah.
So guys, if you are ever in the Williamsburg area, definitely stop by Labyrinth to check it out. It's a really dope spot for students, creators, entrepreneurs, anyone who has a busy lifestyle and is just looking for a place to work. And for myself personally, I'm always just like looking for a seat, a desk, fast Wi-Fi, and outlets. And Labyrinth literally has all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're right on like Metropolitan Avenue in Bedford, close by the L train. So yeah, come check us out.
So their Instagram will be linked in the description down below, guys. Make sure to go give them a follow to stay updated on all that they've got to offer. They're also doing some live events here and there.
Yep, outdoor events whenever possible. We'll have some of them coming along as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.